Welcome back to the Real Me podcast. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, I would recommend to you two videos from my other podcast, the Cosmic Sky Astrology Podcast. And those videos are Neptune the second house and the spiritual side of money. Those are going to explain a lot of stuff that I'm not going to get into in this video. This is probably going to be a very, very short, concise episode. But before I even get into that, I've been wrestling with a decision lately because apparently my editing software has changed things. And when I put images in, there's this like black border around the images. And I've kind of gone back and forth between should I get rid of that? Should I expand the image? Should I not? Um, well, uh, I'm not going to. So get used to seeing what you're seeing in those podcasts nowadays. Because I'm not going to make a videos with that energy of um basically I have to do this. I have to go into this editing software and do this. Like if I am not totally secure and relaxed before making a video, when I'm not relaxed making a video, then I can't do as well with it. And I go through this sort of process of what I'm going through mentally and emotionally and, psychologically in this podcast. This is the second podcast. My other podcast besides The Cosmic Sky is my music podcast. But these are the two talking, voice speaking podcasts. So, money. What do I have to say about money? Well, quoting one of the lyrics of my song, money is an inconvenience, a hindrance to enjoyment. And that is very, very true. What do I have to say about money? But we need money to survive. Um, Unfortunately, we need it to survive and live our lives. And we can't just get anything. We have to, you know, pay for things. And I don't want to, don't watch this and think, oh, I already know that. Oh, that's surface level. Oh, that's a hard truth. I don't want to hear it. Well, I'm giving you the hard truth here, but again, go see the spiritual side of money. If you don't want me to just give hard truths and just feelings alone, go see the spiritual side of money because that will explain quite a bit. Um, but unfortunately, this is the world that we live in, and I don't want to say unfortunately because there are reasons for why money exists, and I'm sort of beginning to understand those reasons and understanding the spiritual value of money, the spiritual benefit of money, and the spiritual sort of reason for its existence. Um, Money, in short, exists to basically um, help us. It represents our external self-worth. Just like a reward represents how hard that we've worked, money is an external representation of self-worth. Now, I'm not saying it defines self-worth. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying, that money, defines our sense of self-worth that we feel better selves. It does not reflect it because we feel a sense of self-worth. We don't need money to be worthy for our existence and our being and for feeling valuable and feeling, asset to a world and feeling like we're contributing something to the world and that we're, it's like life is not about earning things. We are already deserving individuals. We do not need to earn our worth. So that's not what I'm referring to. Money just simply is just a mirror. Like a mirror is not part of our bodies. It can represent that. It can also reflect that, but it's not part of us. It reflects it like a mirror is a separate thing where it shows a reflection in it, but it's not part of us. That's what we have to remember about money. And it cannot buy happiness. Another podcast that I did, Saturn and Taurus, also about money that I did last Saturday. Money cannot buy happiness. Dollars and coins do not buy satisfaction. Now, I could argue, and you could really, really easily argue that it is natural to feel a sense of satisfaction when you make money. If you were to win the lottery, wouldn't you feel overjoyed and ecstatic about that? I think that you would. I'd be surprised if you wouldn't. But true happiness is an internal thing. No amount of possessions can make you feel happy. It come like, do you feel happy inside yourself? It is a spiritual, natural thing to feel happy inside yourself. It is a feeling of gratitude. It is a feeling of contentment about feeling happy. So that's what I want to say here is that is a truth about feeling happy. Um, so money can give you a lot of things. It can really, really help you, you feel worthy once you make the money. And I am open to a lot of aspects and things about money, such as earning it and making it and receiving it back as a reward and recognition as an incentive for working hard, getting a reward back, getting something, a tool that can help me get what I want. I have learned to open up to that as much as I can. As much as I can. Um, all right. And money can help you to get the things that you want to get in your life. But then you could argue, why do we need money? Why can't we just, again, I'm not looking things up in this. This is just a contemplation. So, why am I just not, why can't I just get anything? Well, resources are finite. And if everybody just bought all those resources, then we would be left with, like on Amazon, for example, we would be left with not a whole lot left. So, there are reasons to which I don't understand why money exists. And there are certainly positive sides of money. However, there is this underlying negative that is the whole of money that is inconvenience. It isn't, but it is. It isn't because instead of just freely having therapy or eating at a restaurant or paying to go to the Smithsonian Museum or getting into a movie or buying a book at the bookstore or buying a movie or buying a house. Money interferes with that because it gets in the way of that, gets in the way of it because you have to pay a price. And I wish that wasn't our reality, but I choose to live my own reality with money. I choose to live my own reality with currency, with finances. That is true for me. Because you really co-create your own reality. You really create your own reality with it. Um, you know, trying to think here. What was I gonna say? Um, it's hard. Because for my whole life I've been rejecting this tool. I've been like, if you want to know something big about me, this is the Real Me podcast. I'm sharing it here. I had to do a video about this. Which for those on YouTube Music, you're also viewing this on YouTube Music. I just discovered the podcasts are also available over there. So that's where I can find any podcast at all. So great, as well as albums. So for those listening on YouTube Music, for those listening on YouTube, basically it's just YouTube. Hopefully people over there have found this podcast and listen to it over there. I don't know if anybody has. I wish there was a follow button on podcasts over on YouTube Music for podcasts. But anyway, um, when it comes down to it, I am very resistant toward money, and I always have been. And I think that we are so resistant to money because we've been conditioned in a certain way. Oh, you don't need more than what you need. Oh, you only have enough to buy this. Oh, money is tight and you have to, be sparing with it. You can't spend a whole lot of it. You have to conserve it. You might lose it. Things are too expensive. Things are too expensive. Things are too expensive. Let's just refer to expensive as a metaphorical, broader word. Expensive just means you cannot buy it. Money, um, a certain way of doing something, a certain state of being, a certain feeling, a certain, um, anything really. But it really goes back to money. I think a family member is kind of living in a very, very negative reality and projecting that reality onto me when I do not need to live in that reality. And I don't want to live in that reality. I choose a more positive, expansive reality to live in, a more liberating reality to live in with money. I really, really get annoyed when I hear, oh, it costs $7. Gotta buy it. It's gonna cost me $7. What? It's gonna cost me $10. Well, we have to break out of this whole conditioning around money. This is a very, very hard truth for me to face. And this is a kind of getting into a difficult podcast episode to do. How am I going to respond to this? besides saying you do not need to complain about money. Stop. Like I'm telling everyone, stop complaining about money. Don't let it take over your physical, mental, emotional well-being, and don't let it take away your peace of mind. A, a tool, a very tool itself, which has no feelings, no conscience, no mind, no anything. And in my life, I reject this tool. It will not make me feel upset, um, anxious, and uh, scared and devastated. Like that is not the reality that I want to live in my life, and I will not live in that reality. I will not live in that reality. I am too resistant against this thing to live in that reality. I'm no. With money for me, it really has to be all, um, you know, anyone who does not walk through life with living in it with money and does not breathe a sigh of relief and does not go easy, slowly and steadily, in the energy of calm, peace, and value and enjoyment over life. And and anyone who complains about money, I don't want to hear that stuff in my life, and I don't want them in my life if they're going to do that. I don't need to hear any negative thing about money in my life because I am just so in a state of rejection of this. I need to get my mind retrained and thinking differently about it to thinking something more positive. And I need someone who can look at it in a positive light and not complain if things are too expensive or things are too not worth buying or too much or all that. I don't need that in my life. I am this self-aware and this knowledgeable about myself and what I want in my life to experience in my life that I will not go through with that. I'm not a person who denies reality. I'm not a person living in a fantasy land. I'm not a person not living in quote unquote ground reality. And I am not a person who's going to be porn on the streets. That's for darn sure. And I am not a person who's going to live in a community home and have my needs completely taken care of by the state and the government. No. But I'm not a person to not be true to myself and not be true to my values. It's not that I'm not being realistic. It's that I'm knowing what I want and what I value and what I believe before I actually get into it in my life. Like I have my beliefs and plans and ideas and um hopes and expectations mapped out before I even experience it. When I see people putting their hands to their face and moving down, like leaning down because they have to pay off a bill that's too expensive, or they found out that they lost their home, or they found out that they lost their job, or something very, very big. You know, movies. books, others, not me. Not me. I do not want to choose to live in the reality, but I will also be true and honest with myself. I cannot do this reality alone. There's certain things that I will not accept and will not come face to face with, but here's what I will come face to face with and accept that I will not live this life alone. I cannot do this life alone. If the issue of buying, struggling to pay off a loan or, whatever, um, paying off a bill, electric bill, or the electric bill is going to super high, or the water bill, or, whatever, the bill for the house. I mean, whatever it is. Paying money and I don't have enough money to buy the tree. Somebody will be there to help me with all this. I will have somebody to support me in my life, whether that be an advisor or somebody, I don't know who it will be. I may very well get married, probably before my son will return. I do want to find somebody in my life or search out people that I can get married to and have a mutual loving relationship with because I do have a vision of getting married to somebody, not having children, but getting married. Somebody will help me in my life. I will not go through the roads of belief that a lot of us go through with having to manage it all on our own. I am aware of this before it's even happening. I am aware of all the negatives, the inconveniences, the struggles that you can be had with money. I don't want to experience any of that. Here's the thing. If I cannot just breathe a sigh of relief and just feel so calm and so steady and so stable and so grounded and so happy in my life because of money, but instead feeling upset, feeling devastated, feeling frustrated, um, feeling inconvenience or lack because of money or because of not having enough money or because of not being able to afford things or whatever. No, no. That is not the reality that I will be living in my life. I deserve to be living in a reality that is not that. Don't comment under this video saying, oh, well, you're crazy or entitled or whatever, because I'm not. I know myself and I know my values. Some people are more open to it than others, and I'm not as open to it as some may be. So I do not need the comments. Don't you dare write those comments in the comment section. I don't want to see that underneath this video. I don't want to see that underneath this video. If you should comment something along those lines, then do it in a way where you are explaining yourself and you are clearly explaining the benefit of all of these struggles that you have in your life when it comes to money, all these financial troubles. I have gotten a surface level interpretation with only seeing the negative aspects of it, only being conditioned in the negative aspect, only seeing the negative side of having financial troubles. What about the positive spiritual side of having financial troubles? What about that? In fact, I should probably do a video on that, a podcast on that sometime. Like, what is the positive spiritual side of financial troubles? I can't think of anything. And if you can't think of anything, I don't need the, telling me this is how it is, and you're going to run into this situation. Da, 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 da. Don't tell me things I already know. I do not appreciate when people do that in my life. I will not be living in a reality where I have to pay heavy expenses that I cannot afford. necessities that I cannot afford, and nobody's there to support me. Like, not my reality. Otherwise, it's going to push me right back into rejection and like I want to escape. Like anytime I hear things are so expensive, or anytime, or if I um see, a bill that's too expensive to pay or having to pay for a necessity that I can't buy, I will not face it. I will escape it because I'm just so devastated. I want to take away that pain and that sadness and that feeling that I may very well feel in my life, and I'm not going to deny myself those feelings because I do believe in feeling those feelings and allow yourself to feel whatever you're feeling that is, but you don't have to stay in it. And I'm not going to stay in it. I'm going to do things around it. And I'm not going to jump to the conclusion that if I do this, then I'm going to lose my house because I'm not being responsible and I'm not putting in the work and paying off my loan. That is an idea, like that is a nightmare in my head. That is a vision in my head that will not happen because I said again, somebody in my life will be there to support my needs when it comes to money. If I cannot support it for myself, because let's face it, I very well may need to pay for things myself. But if it has an emotional charge to it, if it's things I can afford and it's something that I really, really need, or or whatever, if it involves um I mean, let us hope that I just do not desperately want something so bad that I can't have the money to afford it. Let's just hope that doesn't happen. Knowing this, I will make sure that I do have the money to pay for whatever I want to get. Right now, I'm working a job right now to get a little bit of income. And yeah, I mean, I'm telling you, I will have the money, and if I don't, somebody will be there to help me. I do not need anything or anyone to put me in a negative place about money. No one. No one. Do not try to sabotage me trying to open the doorway and open up to it. I don't need anyone to come in and sabotage it and close the door and and make me close-minded towards it. Because throughout my whole life, I've just, well, taken it for granted is one thing you could say. But the main thing really is, and I don't feel bad for taking money for granted because money does not buy happiness. You can absolutely take money for granted. Don't take your things for granted. Your bed, a nice roof overhead, nice, things, that you have in your life and people that you have in your life and the real things to feel happy about. Separate out what is money and what are possessions. Separate those things out. Separate those things out and realize that money doesn't buy you happiness, but the things, I guess, that you buy with it do. I don't blame you if you take it for granted because I'm frankly rejecting of it now. So, um, I mean, what else do I have to say about money? I am very, very observant of the world, and I see the struggles that people have with money. But you know what? Nope. I will not be one of those people who will have the struggles. I will not be in those situations. Nope, no, 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 no. No. I do not have the mental capacity to deal with it. And I will not deal with it. I will not be put in those situations where I am forced to just do everything on my own and not have anyone to support me. Somebody will be there, and that is a guarantee. Gosh darn it. So that is what I want to really say in this about money and my feelings on it. Hope you found value out of this very personal and subjective episode. Like these episodes are all subjective, understand that. Episodes of the Real Me podcast. I will see you next time for, and I create my reality with money. That's the point that I want to make. I'll see you next time for another episode. Whenever I get around to filming it, I plan to do this episode earlier, but the situation didn't work out, and I've been kind of putting off doing this, so I'm doing it now. So anyway, bye for now, everyone. I will see you in the next episode of my own personal podcast, where I am truly being my authentic self, and I am sharing my authentic voice. Bye for now.